Dr. Drexel T. Brunson is in the studio, Pastor Brunson. We're going to talk about a book that you've written, and you're also the pastor, obviously. And Robert Van Hoos is here.
Sunday, according to Pew Research, according to the Francis Schaeffer Institute, all these reputable places, 18.7 to 20% of the people come to church, 68 million people. And it is anticipated that if it continues in that vein, that by the year 2050, I'll be dead. But my two newly born grandchildren on July 3rd will still be alive.
Yeah.
But it's anticipated that 11 to 13% of the people in the United States will go to church. So we're going the way of Europe. Something has got to be done. We need the help of the Holy Spirit big time. We also need church management too. And that's where Ed and I centered on this thing. We both look at the Bible and believe it, period. So we wrote this book on how to manage in a church. And I'm going around the country, and that's when I was in Seattle yesterday.
Well, Larry, the biggest problem that I see, and the reason why I have such a passion for what they're doing, we have got to do something to go back. The church of the 21st century has got to go back to the church of Acts and being the church that Jesus created and modeled what he taught, because the churches are in trouble all over the country, and it's because they've gotten away from the main focus, the Great Commandment and the Great Commission, and also they have forgotten what servant leadership is all about. And this is why this is so rejuvenating, and this is really a movement that could change the culture of a lot of churches. I would say that anybody that gets involved in this thing will come out enthused,
The book is called The Servant Organization for Jesus.
Yep. It's quick information that pastors and church leaders and anybody can get a hold of. I've been busy all over the country taking this book and working with other churches, and I mentioned here earlier, that's why I was in Seattle, Washington yesterday, working with Northwestern College up there, Northwestern University, over this book. Our Bible colleges are churning out people that know the Bible pretty well. They really do. And they preach pretty well. Problem is, they don't know how to manage. They don't know how to put things together so they can take this wonderful message and into the 21st century and deal with all kinds of issues in people's lives.
Do you know
why I've got such a passion for this? Is that, like we say, the church is in trouble, and it breaks my heart. And I see so many families. I am so thankful that all of my children, I've lost none of them. They all know the Lord, but I see the heartbreak of families whose children have strayed away. And, the world, the flesh, and the devil is real and is doing everything. The deceiver of our souls is doing everything to minimize the church, and by granted, is doing a pretty good job. And what is so good, what is so important about what they're doing here, this is revitalization of the church and renewal. And I just had this seminar we had teachers and leadership from St. John at a weekend retreat where Dr. Brunson was kind enough to present this seminar. And you could see, the engagement. For me to go 7 hours, my attention span is not that good. But everybody was engaged from start to finish. And you could see the mind working. And once you understand these principles they're teaching, it opens a whole new world. And if the church is going to be what the church is supposed to be, if it's going to be revitalized and if we rejuvenated, here is the best way that I've seen in several years to rejuvenate. Do you want to know what the best endorsement and affirmation of that seminar was? Is that our school principal and our Board of Education are going to start teach that course to every one of our teachers at St. John Lutheran School. That's how impressed and engaged they were with it.
Nice.
And we're talking with people that have been to a whole lot of seminars, and they know what's good and they know what's a waste of time. Well, this is not a time waster. This is a spiritual growth encounter.
So part of churches, so many of them have been aging, and they're not dealing well with the younger population. This book will teach people not how to deal with them, but how to find answers so they can reach out to the younger population, bring them to Christ, and disciple them, and do it in unity. Every church has 3 problems. I don't care if you're Joel Osteen or the guy that's just gotten started last Sunday. You have a problem with unity. It's always got to be carefully taken care of. Problem with front door. How do you get people to come?
Yeah.
And then the problem with the back door. How do you keep them? That's one of the issues that the book addresses. It doesn't specifically say, all right, this is your front door, back door issue. It tells you a framework of management so that in unity, the church leadership gets together and says, all right, we're going to address vision this way. We're going to address bringing people in this way. We're going to address maintaining their relationship to the church this way. And they do it in unity, and the church proceeds forward with prosperity. And so it's a management book. It will help. It will cause churches to be able to be blessed with the blessing of the Holy Spirit. You know, I can't help change somebody's doctrine. That's going to be up to the denomination, the local church. They've got to embrace right doctrine. They have to go on their knees and pray on their own.
Yeah,
but
right,
when you've
right.
done those things, here's a management system that is proven and will work.
Every church should send some, and then that one person should go back and teach it to the whole church.
I think you're right.
And you know, if once you've seen it, you got the book, and but it changes. Our success has nothing to do with how much money you make or anything else. Real success has to do with the fulfillment that you find in pleasing God. That's what we were put on this earth for. That's what we're here for, is to honor and glorify God. And it's just like I've been praying for 2 years. I got enthusiasm, but I've been praying for 2 years for the Lord to give me something to get enthused about. And I called Ed Dean and asked him if he's got any kind of a model charter for a youth group. And the end result was that this is the way God works. Next thing I know, I've got the books. I'm going to give it to the church elders. Then I got to thinking, well, we'll give it to some teachers. And then I got to think, well, why don't we just have a seminar? But that's the way that's kind of the way things work. But I want to tell you, one of my principles is that God, Henry Blackaby had this great study, Experiencing God, Knowing and Doing the Will of God. And one of the principles is that God is at work all around us. And we're, as believers, to look to see where God is at work, and then we're to join Him in that work.
Yeah.
And
I think so. I think you're right.
If I'll tell you what, if the churches could learn this and then teach it to their leadership and everything, what a difference it would make.
So, is there a phone number or anything like that?
Yes, sir. If they'll go to empowerresources.org,
Okay.
they're going to be able to register for that, and they'll be able to purchase the book if they like to do that. But we're going to do activity together so that pastors and their church leaders are exchanging information. So it's not a boring, let me just sit there all day long. It's interactive. One of the things we're going to start off with is this. For the first time in the history of America, which may be the history of the world, but I'm about to say, we have 4 generations in one workplace, given our later retirement. Next year, 45% of all the workers in America will be 50 years of age and older. So now we have a situation where the workers in America are dealing with 4 generations. Well, the same thing is happening in the church. And believe you me, that pre-boomer generation that fought World War II is very, very different from the generation that's in school today.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a huge challenge for any church. It's a challenge for the workplace, but it's a challenge for the church. This will help you to deal with that. Churches do not understand how to reach people in the 21st century. Now, I'm not saying every church doesn't. Meadowbrook obviously does. There are other churches in town that obviously
It is
do.
interesting that some are magnets and others are drying up.
And there are reasons for that. And one of the reasons is they need better management. We've got good, hard-working pastors out there. You've got people that want God to bless them.
Yeah.
I have no doubt of that. Don't doubt their character, but they just need to learn how to manage.